Hello, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Three Bridges Model Railway. So I'm working on the scratch build of Amersham Station, my second station on my railway journeys from my life. So last time I did the main station buildings and the canopies, and I'm going to be working on to the bridge that's going to go here. So I'll show you a picture first of what I'm building.
So to build the Amersham Bridge, one of the first questions was what colour to paint it. As you can see from this image, it's a mixture of red and white. So they've still got the white lattice main bridge structures in a bit of red, but as it leads down to the platform, it's in white. So the other part of the bridge that I've got to build is the footbridge that takes you from one car park completely over the station to the other, to the front entrance. But there is a way to access platform 2 from it. There was a hut at the top where the ticket collector would stand, and then you'd access down 2 staircases. So this is more of a Heath Robinsy affair. I've just bolted together plate on a simple structure.
So it's not the first time I've had to build the lattice bridge. So if you watched one of the earlier episodes, this is Wendover. It's the first station when I'm sort of 4.5 on my first railway journey. So this is my first go at doing a lattice bridge, and I sort of cut it with strips, having drawn up the main sort of frame in Inkscape. The lattice was very large, as you can see. Small child could climb through there, so I wouldn't go down with health and safety. So that was the one thing I wanted to improve with this build. And after I built this, there was an episode from Everard Junction where Richard talked about using the metal mesh that you use to reinforce car body parts with filler and stuff. And that gave me an idea for a better way to make the mesh. So the product I ended up buying is this big boy aluminium mesh, and as you can see, it's a very fine mesh that you can just form and shape, and it has that sort of grill structure. So I think this A4 sheet, I think it cost me about 10 quid or something, but obviously it's going to last a long way with me modelling. So I went about the bridge exactly as before. I went back to my Inkscape templates to create the main structure, print it out, cut out the holes, and then just cut out the mesh and glued it in behind in the lower part where it is on the bridge. So everything's sort of painted up red. I've got the clapperboard, just give the impression of the steps and the flooring. I'll now add the lights to this before I put the roof on this time. So it was a bit tricky fitting them last time retrospectively, but that's the main bridge done. Really pleased with that. It looks a lot better than what I was after. And then for the obviously the steps up, it's the same approach as last time. So this was all just hand cut. I just basically draw up what I want to make on the card, pen and paper and a scalpel, and then cut out. So it's in 2 layers of sort of 1/2 mil card, and then you glue them together, and that gives you the space to then fit the cross struts. And then again, they're just like fiddly little bits of strips of card cut out and glued in. And obviously once it's all painted up and it will be weathered, it'll look the part. So on this side, obviously I've then got to join up here to the next part of the bridge. So it's, in fairness, it's all one big footbridge. So I will show you the image now of how that joins together and what I need to create next.
As you can see here, you've got the footbridge up from platform 2 and 3. It then goes through the start of the canopy over to platform 1 that I've just sort of shown you, and this is where the sort of the add-on later thought footbridge sort of gets bolted in. So it's on its own red plinth. It's a real Heath Robinson affair of just, cobble it together. So that's how I'll join it on. This is all done in metal plate, and if I think the next one, try and get this one a bit larger. So that's how it sort of looks. So it's just a series of metal plates bolted together. It's on a simple metal frame, so I'll cobble something together to make that, and I'll show you next how I've done obviously the join up and also the bridge, but I'm going to start with the bridge first. I find it easier to build the biggest components first and then sort of fill the gap in with the other stuff.
So from the image on the screen you can see that I've got to create sort of welded plate seams and brackets. So that's one of the seams, and then that's the one that would have normally the angle bracket, and then here you can see I've glued on some of the angle brackets. So I've tried super glue and PVA. They both seem to work, just a bit fiddly. Right, I'll just try and explain where I've got to. So I've done the approach from the south side, so as we come out from London, and I've sort of done most of the upline. I've left a gap here. This is where I know I'm going to join down to the other part of the bridge, so I'll fit this part in later once I've done the join on. It all came together quite well actually. That sort of the distortion you're seeing in the colour there is actually where the super glue has glued everything on. It's then stained it underneath as you put the red coat on, but I quite like the effect it creates. So I've put two top rails on, as you can see, sort of, and I've put two rails on the underside, and then what I'll do is I'll put some cross struts across, because I can see that you've got cross struts under the bridge, and then these edges that I've put on, I'll be able to run a couple of cables along there, because the bridges are used for a lot of power cables. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'll come back to you when I've done a bit more. So to do the staircase down, I've just done the same again. So cut the cardboard, stuck the staples on where I want the weld to be. So I've been working on the steps down. So there's these obviously have to drop from the bridge. The first support will be here, which will stop on the platform, and then these will drop to below the platform height, so down to track level. So they're quite steep down, but that's reality. And again, I've used the staples, and I'm sort of mainly using the super glue because it just sort of swells the wood fibres a bit, and it gives that quite nicely sort of rusted, distorted look. So I haven't got this far. The sensible thing now will be to build a support to hold the main footbridge across, and then that'll give me some dimensions to join the two bridges together. So I'll work on that next. Okay, so a bit more of an update. I'm just trying to look at the positioning between the two bridges and where I need to do the join that allows you to walk from one bridge to the other. So I'm quite pleased about how the long bridge is coming together. Sort of the size and length, looking good. I've started to work on this main support that will hold it up at this end. At the other side, it's just a simple strut from what I can see from the various images. So this is just a temporary structure to support the two parts. Yeah, it's looking okay. So next thing is building the entrance here, which is then into like a covered start of the staircase down. So you don't go straight down, you sort of go in, turn right, and then head down. This is what I can sort of grasp from the overhead Google Earth image. So as you can see, I've been working on the steps up to the main red bridge, so it's just sort of trial and error at the moment. Hi, so back to the lattice bridge for this one. So I've just been putting the roof on, widening the lights underneath, so there's one at each end, and I'm just trying to work out how to attach sort of the centre bit to the supports at the side. So I've got a little ledge I've sort of attached to the side. I don't tend to plan my builds out in great detail in advance so that it all just cuts out, slots together perfectly. It's a bit of a make it up as you go along. So with this one, there's the added issue. If I just show you, so this side it'll be a slightly curved roof at the end, which I'll fit. And obviously I've got this. I might just keep this gap. Allows you to look down. And this side it's more of a pronounced curved roof across. So in order to do that, what I'll do is I've made up a bit of card, scored it up, so that will sit on here, and then this part I'll sort of carve it in so it sort of fits flush with the flat roof with a bit of an overhang. So you'll see how that goes. Right, so I think we're on to the last assembly parts. So I think next time I show this it'll be just finished. So I've joined the main bridge parts together. Just need a little bit of tidying up at the join, a bit of repainting. But you can start to see the shape of how the two bridges sort of join together. So this little down section, and I've got the last bit of the wall to go the other side. That's all made up. Yeah, it's definitely looking how I wanted it to, so really pleased. Well, sometimes red, sometimes white, but in this case mainly red. The bridge is finished. It seemed fitting to keep a bit of it white, so I've got a guy painting it, and amazingly he's in red and white, which I'd forgotten about. This is an old Hornby model from 1970s that I picked up in a set. So yeah, he's doing the last bit. Yeah, really like the grill as well. Really good idea to go with that mesh, so pleased about that. Okay, so the first bridge is done. So as the title, 3 bridges, probably implies, each of the scenes in my layout will have at least 3 bridges, and the next one is the road bridge that goes under the tracks. Obviously to do that I need to finish building the baseboard structure that goes in the loft that will allow me to drop this board down, so I can have the road bridge going through up to the Iron Horse pub and round to the front of the station. But that one's for another episode. Not quite sure what I'm going to film next, but anyway, if you followed it all the way through, thanks a lot. Apologies for the sound and my voice. I had a bit of a cold, and I still can't get the hang of this microphone when I'm wearing it, so I'll try and find a better way to connect it up. But yes, thank you very much if you have followed and you have subscribed. I do appreciate it, and I look forward to showing you something else next time. Anyway, there's a clip at the end if you stuck it through to see my daily inspiration. That's right.